Hi everyone, this is a video that I'm going to talk to you about while I'm folding laundry, and it is narcissistic abuse. Was I abused? Also, narcissistic abuse, acknowledgement and affirmation that yes, you actually had a narcissistic personality disorder partner. Now, if you've gone online and you've been looking for this validation or this information so that you can explain to yourself finally what happened, and perhaps you've talked to a family member or a friend, if they do not support you, look elsewhere. Shut the door on them. Give them the temporary door slam, because if you're already in a state of dismay because your limbic system and your adrenals are shut down and you're in fight and flight or freeze from what you just experienced, the last thing you need is salt on those wounds. And then the last thing you need is a self-appointed shrink called a family member that actually tells you that narcissistic abuse doesn't even exist. The last thing you need is having one of these so-called family members, well-meaning and otherwise, these non-supportive, in disguise individuals. That's the last thing you need, is for one of them to say, but we're all narcissists. Narcissistic abuse is this in a nutshell. That person does not like life, and they're miserable, and they'll do everything they can to make you miserable too. And if you're with them and you can't get away because of marriage or kids and you're trying to figure it out, and you do the gray rock method, let's say they give you a cold shoulder, and you've had that cold shoulder so often that you warmed up to it. The cold shoulder means you have time to yourself. The silent treatment is your silent treat. If they give you the silent treatment so that they can punish you, say thank you, that's a silent treat. It gives you a chance to gather yourself together and get strong, okay? So in your journey for recovery, I suggest channels like the Little Shaman. The Little Shaman is going to tell you bullet, bullet, bullet. So accurate with your aim and target that you will become undoubtedly so wise and so versed to what these creatures are that you'll never be their victim again. You will be a victor. Also, you'll be able to identify them. It's sort of like a bird, and this is the Audubon Society. If you don't know what a narcissist looks like, then you don't know what to look for. If you don't know what a heron looks like, or an egret, or a Virginia rail, you'll never know what to look for. So narcissistic abuse, what does it look like? It's very, very ugly. And when people say, oh, but you were there, it takes two to tango. Yes, it does. And usually those who have suffered narcissistic abuse at the hands of a narcissist will actually see that it's somewhere in their family. And it's also a gift from the universe, because once you figure it out, you get so wise to it that it makes you stronger, because you figure out so much about yourself and the world. You become impervious to a-holes. Now, this is what I've discovered about the subject of narcissism. There are those that go, am I the narcissist? Then there are those that say, narcissism doesn't exist. And then you've got the narcissist who makes a channel for themselves. Because why? Well, after they've gotten old and they no longer have women going for them because they've lost the use of their wanky dank, because they're only physical and they have no heart generator because they're empty creatures, then they then will do the attention seeking and financial support of YouTube or the like Because of why? Guess why? More attention for them. So the last individual, this woman, who is a thriver, post-survivor, post-victim of NPD disordered men, is that I have absolutely no empathy at all for those lousy, good-for-nothing, life-damaging, don't even need to be in a relationship ever creatures. And they're creatures because their brain is damaged. They split. They're empty. They're empty. They are empty. The best thing one can do is to recognize they're empty and to shut up. But what do? A narcissist I've met who like, oh yeah, I always like to stir up trouble. And then they want to spend the next 2 hours talking to their drunk buddies about how they just don't know why they keep wanting to stir up trouble. And then they make it all about them and everyone's paying attention to them. And it's all good until the next time when they piss somebody else off. Why? Because they thrive on confrontation. They thrive on adversity because it duplicates their lousy childhoods and their unlovability and their unlikability. I have a little bit of an edge. Why? Because I talked to a family member the other day and the phone service went out after I realized she wasn't listening to me at all. She did not want to, I'm a strong person. I know what I've been through. I'm healing to the point where it doesn't affect me adversely. But if I were still licking my wounds and trying to figure out what the F happened, that would have put me further into perhaps a state of discontent, dis-ease, dismay, discouragement, because this universe needs a couple of things besides love and joy. It needs affirmation and acknowledgement. We thrive on it. We thrive on being acknowledged, which is why a narcissist will not acknowledge you. That cold shoulder treatment I told you about, oh my God, let it happen. But anyway, I'm not with the ex anymore. And there's a story there about how many times I kept going back and all the different cycles. It's a repeat cycle. Spin, create insanity, repeat. It's not pretty. It's not fun. And again, the last place you are going to get validation about what you experience is from a so-called well-meaning family member who may have a lot of information about other things that's quite interesting, but they know squat diddly about narcissistic abuse. And that brings up a subject. Perhaps they're in that category of it doesn't exist because they are one. So what I've learned is that those people who need to be supported need to actually do adrenal fatigue restoration ASAP. You need to address the very real occurrence of the brain fog, the fuck you over, the reality. Is it real? Is it me? Is it them? What's happening? Why does this keep happening? Why does this individual that I'm with who loves me, why do they keep creating fights over nothing? Why do we have endless loop arguments again and again and again over nothing? Why? Because they thrive on adversity. They thrive on turmoil. They thrive on trouble because it makes them feel alive. And you know what? Never get into a fight with a pig because they'll enjoy it and you'll just get dirty. So I'm going to keep my fights to myself. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. You're not going to get validation from somebody who perhaps has narcissistic tendencies. The NPD is on a spectrum and everyone is going to be a little bit different. And I've had all three types. The overt, the covert, the arrogant one, the I feel sorry for myself one, the everyone's looking at me and making fun of me one, the everybody gets it, but I don't get it because he's got it one. Yes, 3 different people. I know I talked about them as one and probably it was 6, but one person could have been like 2 of those things. So figure it out. Yes, there are people who think perhaps they're narcissistic, but they're not. They're well-meaning people who through their own trauma probably created a little drama unnecessarily because of why? They haven't worked on their inner child and they're still like a 3 to 5-year-old screaming for attention, screaming for mommy and daddy to love them unconditionally. all right? The only unconditional love you're ever going to get is unconditional love you give to yourself, first and foremost, and the love unconditionally that is provided to you by your Creator, the God and of your heart, of the universe, of the love and joy and bliss of which you are, the Mother, Father God, the true God that's not defined in books, that's undefined by religions that yank you back. Instead, the culture of the heart, the one in which you, the human body, and this grand design of your body is able to connect to the earth's body, heart to heart, including the moon and through the sun, and we'll go into all of that. But this was a quick emergency repair for anybody who is unsupported in their quest to heal, and in their sincere endeavor to say to themselves, it wasn't my fault that that person treated me that badly. I did nothing to deserve it. They're just sick people. They're sick and broken, and they will never heal. I don't care how many YouTube channels purport it. They are brain damaged forever. But you, my dear, are not. Good luck with your healing.